Right, here we are, brand new start, new week, and what a week it's going to be because the World Cup's going to start, not the T20 Women's World Cup, but the FIFA World Cup as well, and it's going to be a humdinger, and that's why I've titled this thumbnail as Summer of Sport. You guys are watching the Hegday Everyday podcast, the third episode. Now, I did promise you all when I started on Thursday that I'll probably make this a regular affair every day at 10 p.m., but Saturday, Sunday, I think I'm just booked out in terms of events and various other things which you guys are seeing on Instagram. But right, enough of the introductions. Hope you guys are doing well on a Monday. I've already kind of got all my World Cup kits sorted, and I'm going to be speaking about Portugal, my beloved team. But before that, we will also, of course, talk about the other contenders in the grandest prize for them all, some off-field shenanigans and how bad it's been in the US and Mexico and some parts in Canada as well, which we'll get to. And not to forget, tennis lovers, French Open discussion with Zverev become the first man, the German man, to win a Grand Slam since 1996. I mean, it's a long time that they waited. The last man who did it was Boris Becker, of course. And we'll finish off with some cricket news with India, of course, absolutely wiping the floor with Afghanistan, 300-run win and an innings, which is the biggest ever in their Test cricket history, and a little bit of other things, which is Bangladesh, Australia. There's probably even a cricketer who I'd like to tell you about, who I might eventually get on the show. Lots of comments to take, and that's good to see. Sanjay saying, hi, I'm on time. That's good to see. Let's go. What's good, my glorious king of me, saying Shrey 9660. It's fantastic, to be fair. Monday, shot with a lot of kids, did like some good content, went to the gym, came back. And Portugal by wearing England. It's the World Cup team. Sometimes I have England as a second team growing up, watching all that international football as a kid. Started off my international football pretty much solid watching from 2002. And that was a hilarious World Cup for one reason or the other. If you're an England fan, with David Seaman getting chipped by Ronaldo. And of course, R9 and some great memories from that World Cup. But then it just moved on with so many amazing tournaments. Even the Euros way back in the day really caught my eye. But I'll talk about the World Cup for starters, and keep your comments coming through. Tell me what you guys are doing right now. Tell me who you guys are backing for the World Cup, not just the FIFA World Cup, but the Cricket World Cup as well. The T20 World Cup predictions, I'll give you my take. I think it's going to be a South Africa-India final, but more on that in just a bit. MI or CSK? Don't say RCB. If I have to pick out of those two teams, holy shit, that's a tough one. It's asking me to pick between... I don't want to give you this analogy, but it's asking me to pick between two really bad foods which I'm allergic to, right? It's just what does worse to your body. So I'd probably say CSK just because I'm South Indian, so South Indian represent. But MI for Shrey, he says. Sanjay saying England is what he's backing in the World Cup. And Rolling Stoner, Dal Shankar, that is, saying Messi over Ronaldo. We'll get to that because Messi, of course, I think going to be turning a year older during the World Cup. He did lift the grandest prize of them all in Qatar, where it was a 32-team tournament. But this time, guys, it's a 48-team tournament. And I genuinely want to have some fun. So I will, of course, give you my predictions as we kind of play along and predict the group stage along with each other here. Remember, the first game of the World Cup will be a Thursday, 12:30 a.m. start for us. Figure out your OTT options. I think it's Z5 for India. And I'm not using Z5, apart from a silly Hindi show I watch, which I can't even remember. So hoping Z5 comes to my aid at that point in time. I was hoping it was Sony. I was hoping that I would work the Sony for the World Cup, but maybe life has other plans for me right now. Right, enough of me, more on the World Cup, because there are some amazing teams. Like I said, 48 teams. We'll break down the groups as we go along, but I just want to tell you my contenders from the outset. Obviously, the biggies, right? And the European giants come straight to mind. You're talking about France, your Portugals, your Spain, who did win it in terms of the 2024 Euros, remember? So they have some confidence going into this year's World Cup, given the fact they have probably one of the best players on the planet in their team in Lamine Yamal, but they have some fantastic quality throughout that team. In places like Dani Olmo, you look at the guy who plays for Bilbao on the left, Nico Williams. You look at the guy who holds everything up for them up front in Olzabal. So they have all the Arsenal up front, if I have to use that term. No puns over there, but they do have a couple of Arsenal goalkeepers. Beg your pardon, one Arsenal goalkeeper in Raya, and they have another solid goalkeeper, but Raya will start. And you, of course, think that Roddy and Zubimendi will hold the show. So Spain, of course, no need to mention how good they're going to be this World Cup. And then you look at the other contenders. Germany will always kind of punch above their weight. I know they've had like a couple of disastrous World Cups the last time around when they lost to South Korea, and Son famously in that 93rd minute goal. And then England, they've always been the nearly men, right? Since 60 years since the last time they lifted the World Cup. They've had some great names, golden generation, so to speak. Can they do it this time around? And I feel you look at their team and it's heavily stacked to top. Rashford, Saka, Kane, Bellingham. You have Rice and probably Elliot Anderson holding. So it is just amazing in terms of the disposal of players that Thomas Tuchel has. And there's so many other particular teams I'd like to talk about. Brazil and Argentina need to mention too, because you look at what they've achieved as well, especially Argentina coming into this tournament as defending champions. They have the weapons, not just Messi, but they do have a lot of energy. If you look at that squad, people like McAllister come to mind straight away. You have runners off the ball. You have a solid goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. So lots to love. Unlucky England, though. Let's see how that is. And how many coins in the backdrop? Plenty, more than you can imagine. Probably the similar amount of coins which will be there in the starting 11s of each of the World Cups. So 48 and 11, you do the math. I think it'll probably be around 528 coins, there and thereabouts. Right. Ronaldo and Man U, United any day of the week. I'm a huge Ronaldo fan, but United take precedence over any particular club right now for me in terms of the football world. A better question would probably be RCB or Man United, and I'd feel conflicted to pick either one of the two, but I've been, of course, watching United for way longer, but RCB is my home and my city, so very hard to choose from. Ashwin Javagal saying Merino. Yeah, Merino also might start indeed. Talk about Enric in Brazil saying boss forever. Brazil have a sick squad. I mean, not just Ancelotti smoking that cigar at the sideline, but Matisse Cunha, Vinicius Jr. You look at the guy from Brentford who's done exceptionally well in the Premier League. For him to get a World Cup call-up like Thiago is incredible. So lots of weapons that Brazil possess as well. And even if you look at the spine of that team, people like Marquinhos, who's just won the Champions League, he'll be itching to kind of do something big this summer and complete a dream sort of summer in terms of the Champions League and the World Cup. So lots to love. Portugal I'll come to because I personally think they have the best midfield in the world right now in Neves, Vitinha and Bruno. And of course, on top, they have the GOAT in Ronaldo. Right, I'm going to share my screen, guys, because what I'm going to do is like a little exercise right now in terms of just understanding the bracket challenge of the World Cup. Because I saw this earlier today and I was like, you know what, when I go live, I'll probably end up doing this for y'all. So this is how it's going to be. Let me just add that here. Hope you guys can see nice and clear, and remove the comment as well. So you guys can have some fun by doing this on the FIFA World Cup website right now. It's easy to play. It's free to play. And we'll start one by one. So look, essentially, you look at all the groups, and there's some cracking groups in Mexico, South Africa. That game reminds me of the 2010 World Cup opening game where Peter Drury famously said Shabalala for South Africa, the Bafana win it that day. But what's going to happen Group A? Look, Mexico, I think they're going to top the group purely because it's good to see a home team do well in a tournament, especially the World Cup. So Mexico will top the group for me. I do back Korea, but I don't think they're going to be going above Czech Republic because Czech Republic do have some quality as well. So I would say Mexico, Czech Republic, Korea, and South Africa. I apologize to all the Proteas cricket fans and the Bafana fans, but that's how I see it unfold in Group A, which is a tasty group, and that's the first out of 12 groups. So we'll try to speed on things in this process. Now, Group B features, of course, another host, which is Canada. Will they do well? I hope they do, but like straight away, what my eye tells me and what my heart, my gut tells me is that Switzerland's going to top the group. I mean, most of y'all who are probably going to be doing this exercise will have Switzerland over there, Granit Xhaka, and all of those lovely footballers which comes from that part of the world. So Switzerland have always kind of been a round of 16 team in a FIFA World Cup affair. So you normally pencil them in for the next round. So I'll do that as well. I'll probably have either Canada or Bosnia as my second or third choice because Qatar hosted the last World Cup, but the gulf in class between the Asian sides, and in this case, Qatar and say someone like Bosnia will be there to see. So I would back Bosnia, even though they kind of entered late into the tournament. So Switzerland, Bosnia for me, and Canada probably will finish third here. Remember, there are teams who could enter the next competition by finishing third as well, which makes it all the more intriguing. Group C, and that is going to be where all you lovers of Brazil will be focusing on. Midnight games, plenty of coffee, and some good games as well. Morocco, Brazil, Scotland. If you look at those squads, you'll see a lot of household names that we will love to see come up against each other. Brazil, Scotland, for example, Casemiro and McTominay. I mean, that is just brilliant. Or Brazil, Morocco, it'll be what? Hakimi and Mazraoui and Marmoush and all of these kind of lads. So Brazil will top the group for me. I think Morocco will run them close second, and Scotland third and Haiti fourth. I'd like to see Scotland do something remarkable in the group, probably just have an incredible draw with Brazil or something. But again, it's hoping for more. Group D, and this is where I think it's actually a very even Stevens group, because USA, yes, the hosts, and you back them to finish top. But Turkey are there, and Turkey always, of course, throw in a fight. They have some quality in their ranks. Arda Güler comes to mind, the young Real Madrid lad. Australia, I've loved how they've had their World Cups over the years, because you associate Australia with cricket World Cups and not football World Cups. But the Australian moment for me in a World Cup while growing up was 2006. And they got cheated, I would say, of a penalty, a last-minute penalty against Italy. And Totti scored that penalty. I think it was Mark Schwarzer was goalkeeper. But they had a fantastic team. They've always had really good footballers, let alone cricketers, Australia. You talk about Mark Viduka, you talk about Harry Kewell, you talk about even someone like Tim Cahill, who was just brilliant for Australia in the previous World Cups. There was another Australia game, Netherlands-Australia, I think it was, where it went literally like a pendulum. Depay, Van Persie scored, Tim Cahill scored as well. So Australia, I would find them to do some really good things in this year's tournament. They had Argentina in their group last time around. I think they did lose to Messi and co. But on with Group D predictions. And USA for me, Turkey, Australia, and then Paraguay. Paraguay, unknown commodity from South America. You never really want to write those South American teams off, because they do have the tactical nous. They can, of course, show much more energy than some of the other teams who've already kind of been taking part in these World Cup sort of warm-up games, beg your pardon. Right, 4 down, 8 more to go. Group E, and that features Germany, which is going to be fantastic because, look, there have always been talks about whether they can actually find another good generation of players. And you look at that squad of Germany, and it has names like Musiala, it has names like Florian Wirtz, albeit he didn't have a really good Premier League season for Liverpool. The one lad who I really want to see is that startlet from Bayern Munich, Carl Young, is it? I'm getting the name wrong, but essentially he's someone to watch out for. So no prize for guessing. Germany to top their group. I'll probably go Ivory Coast and Ecuador, and then Curacao in the end, because look, Curacao, first ever World Cup for them, what they did to get into the scheme of things. I think they beat Jamaica in a playoff, and that Jamaican team was managed by Steve McLaren, who was Fergie's number 2 for the longest time at United. So lots to, of course, look at that in that group. But Germany and I think Ivory Coast have the power to come out. Maybe it could be Ecuador, it could be nip and tuck there, but that's my prediction. Group F. Now, lovely countries to visit in this group: Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and of course Tunisia, which is part of the African continent. But I think in that very order is what I would probably stick them in. I know many people would probably pick the European teams to come out here, but just for the love of Japan and Japanese people and food, and to be fair, even what they've done in some of the World Cups in the past in recent years, they've given me a little bit more confidence going into this World Cup. And that's the team I feel who are going to be flying the flag high for Asia. They have Mitoma. They have some incredible little runarounders. Their football in the Bundesliga. So Japan are the team to watch. Sweden, my love to Victor Lindelof, my forever love to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's not playing, obviously, this World Cup, but I think they'll finish third. They might even qualify, given how things unfold in other groups. So that's Group F out of the way. Group G, and I'm just hoping you guys are enjoying all of this right now, because if you guys are, please tell me what you guys are doing at this moment to dive. Tricky saying Morocco is going to be a very tricky group. Brazil in that group. Sanjay saying Australia and USA for him, and Germany, Ivory Coast, Mithilesh also joining the chat. Appreciate all you guys doing this on a Monday. And more people than many. Tell your friends about it as well. I will give you guys a shout out no matter what. And some random questions are also encouraged from all of you guys going forward. Right, let's go back to this because we stopped at Group F, and Group G sees Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Now, all conflicting countries in terms of political scenarios right now in various realms. Belgium, obviously, front runners here because you look at the quality that they have, and they've always had good players. I'm not just talking about that era of De Bruyne and Lukaku and Courtois. And they had, of course, the Hazard brothers. Belgium, for me, is like that chocolate going to this World Cup. Got to be, of course, good. And it'll see how far it gets you. Egypt with Mohamed Salah, I think they just played a friendly against Brazil and they were not that bad. So I really would put them second in this group because I don't think New Zealand will score as many goals. And of course, Iran, God bless them, they're going into this World Cup, which is insane if you actually think about it. Like they've just fought a war with the US and now the US is hosting the World Cup. They can't pull out. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be absolute chaos. So I hope Iran get through. It'll be magical to see them do it on Trump land. But I think Egypt, for me, second, and then Iran and New Zealand to take third. Iran, just for sentimentality, I'd probably have them there. Fun fact, New Zealand, you remember that 2010 World Cup in South Africa? Now, they had Italy in their group. They ended up drawing all their games in that group and actually were the only unbeaten team in that World Cup, even though Spain went on to win it. That's just a little fun fact for you guys over there. And there's another player, or another little fun fact I want to tell you about a player in New Zealand this time around. And there was an Argentine social media influencer who was basically trying to check who's the least followed footballer on the planet. And it was a striker from New Zealand. Now, that guy had 4,000 followers on Instagram 2 weeks ago. And after this whole scene, he's got up to 5 million, which is insane, right? The football world can make you absolutely grow super fast at the rate of knots. Right, moving on because Group G is done and dusted. Group H sees all you lovers of Spanish football, and it's España who probably should top the group because there is Uruguay, there is, of course, Cape Verde, and they're going to be playing their first World Cup, and, of course, Saudi Arabia, who gave Messi's Argentina one hell of a game in that Qatar group phase, if you guys remember correctly. They, I think, eventually lost the game, but it was a very, very tight game. So Spain, for me, like I said at the top of the show, they have some incredible players, and I feel they will go a long way in this World Cup. And it remains to be seen if they can actually hold both trophies, the Euros and the World Cup. So impressive from them, and it will continue to be. Uruguay, I think, will, of course, join them in terms of the top two of this group because you look at Brazil and Argentina, be hands down favorites from the South American lot, but Uruguay is the instant name that anyone thinks of. So I would stick them at 2. And let's see, they have some really good, interesting forwards, which I want to check out this World Cup. I'd stick Saudi Arabia at 3 and Cape Verde at 4, purely because they're going to be fantastic in terms of their little fans and all of that stuff. But if they can have an upset in that group, it'll be brilliant. Right, 8 groups done, 4 more to go, and there's some cracking groups left. I, J, K, and L, and that sees, of course, France, Argentina, Portugal, and England in those groups separately. Now, Group I, France, Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. Now, what hits me in this group straight away is that France, Senegal, I was telling you about the 2002 World Cup where we watched in school in our drama room where they hired a TV, and we were in 5th grade at the time, and the first game in the World Cup was France versus Senegal. Now, I think Senegal won that game, and it was Papa Bouba Diop who scored just a goal. And I think they had a quiz question as well on an Indian channel at the time. We like name Senegal's goal scorer against France in the opening game of the 2002 World Cup. Options were Papa Bouba Diop, Papa Kehte Hai, or Papa Don't Preach. Now, what is that, by the way, which is a bizarre quiz contest, but that really reminds me of France-Senegal. So France-Senegal in the same group. Iraq, are they going to be one of those Asian teams who take people by surprise? I don't think so, because if you talk about Japan, Australia, Iran, Korea, maybe even in New Zealand, I think they're all head and shoulders above in Iraq. I would probably even put a Saudi Arabia above in Iraq. But again, if they amaze me in this World Cup, I will stand quiet, or sit quiet rather. So France for me, number one. And everyone's looking at that one particular group game straight away. France versus Norway. Why? Because it's Kylian Mbappe against Erling Haaland. And we're going to see fireworks, guys. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. I don't know where that game is, but we'll check out the schedule in a bit. But France, I think Norway will finish second. Senegal, Africa represent third, and Iraq fourth. Group J, and that's where Messi and his lot feature. I think it's a straightforward group if you actually look at it. There is, of course, Austria in there, and I would love to see Ralf Rangnick have some say in this group because, of course, Man United manager in the past, all of that bit. Algeria, again, a fantastic sort of talents coming out of that part of the world because they're, of course, colonized by the French. You've seen great Algerian footballers in the past. There was a Spurs player called Bentaleb. I think he was Algerian. Back in the day, I think, even though Zidane played for France, he's, I think, from Algeria. Have to check that one, but they have some sort of synergy there. But let me get this group done and dusted. Argentina, Austria, the way that I see it. And then take your pick. I think Algeria finished third and then Jordan fourth. So apologize to Jordan. I think all the A's from that group are going to go through. Right. Group K, and this is where I'm going to be watching a lot of my football. Not like I'm not going to be watching all the other groups. I am. Every group game possible. But Group K, beg your pardon, features the king in Cristiano. And I think, without a doubt, not being biased here, being absolutely ruthless in terms of my predictions, they're going to do everyone in that group, and including someone like Colombia, who are very, very good, South American pedigree, some good talents that they have, of course. But I would say Colombia second, Uzbekistan third, and then eventually the Democratic Republic of Congo to finish fourth in that group. And finally, 11 down, 1 to go, Group L. And it is a decent group, to be fair. England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Now, England, obviously, favorites to get out of this group. So let's just put them in there. It'll be hilarious if they finish second, let alone third. But I think because they have such good players and a depth of players on the bench as well, England and then Croatia probably, given their World Cup pedigree. Remember what they did in the 2018 World Cup. They finished World Cup finalists. Croatia get in there for me. And Ghana have always been a World Cup story. You think about Asmir Jan straight away. So that's my particular scene. Now, after you guys pick the groups, it straight away takes you to this little screen saying, pick the best third place teams. Now, select 8 out of the 12 third place teams who will go through to the knockout stages. Let's go do that, lads and ladies, and tell you exactly who's going to be qualifying. So I think I'll probably put 2 of these Asian giants, Korea and Australia, straight away. There has to be some great African teams who come through. So I would back Ghana and probably back Senegal as well. So there's 4 out of my 8 teams. Now, I want Canada to do well as a host country. I've said that when I was dissecting Group B. If they can go through, it will be nothing like it. Scotland fans and my love for McTominay would have them as a 6th out of 8 team qualifying. And then I throw in Sweden there because I think they will do well by scoring some goals, even though they have a tough group. And Ecuador complete the 8 for me. Sorry, Iran. Sorry, Algeria. Sorry, Saudi Arabia and Uzbekistan. But that's the way it starts out. Right. Groups completed, guys. On to the next team. Because we're picking the knockouts, and this is where it gets interesting, right? This is like almost like a tennis Wimbledon draw, but it is what it is. Boston Stadium, Monday, 29th June, Germany, Australia, by the way I've picked things. And I know I have family in Germany, so I'd have to say Germany for me over there, even though I'd love the Australians to upset the Germans. The Germans go into the round of 16 for me. France, Sweden, if they can do anything in that game, will be brilliant. But just the sheer class that France have, they've made what? The 2018 World Cup final, the 2022 World Cup final, and potentially they could reach the 3rd World Cup final with who's in charge? Didier Deschamps. So France for me, and they'll probably meet Germany in a round of 16. Tantalizing game. Right, Los Angeles will then see Czech Republic play Bosnia, and I think the Czechs could get the job done here. So I'd have Czech Republic to go into the round of 16, and they'll face Van Dijk's Netherlands or Hakimi's Morocco. Now that remains to be seen, but I would particularly fancy Netherlands over there because Frankie de Jong, They have, of course, a decent manager. They have experience in that group. Decent couple of forwards in Gakpo as well. So I would probably put the Dutch to face Czech Republic in Houston. And then we move on to Colombia, Croatia. Now, Colombia, Croatia will happen in Canada the 1st of July. And I would probably put the Croats to go through there purely because of World Cup experience. They've been there, done that, know how to get through certain tricky ties. And then Spain, Austria. Now, as much as I bigged up Ralph Rangnick, Espana and Lamal will probably get the better of the Austrians over there and then progress to the round of 16 to face Croatia. And then it's USA, Canada. Now, this is where it's going to be mad because, of course, two host teams fighting off in a spot of the round of 16. It's going to be Trump against, of course, what is it? Canada's Prime Minister's name? Jason Trudeau, I think. I don't know. Just confirm with me on that. I think the might of the USA might just come through. So the USA go through there for me. Belgium, Croatia, straightforward. Belgium would like Korea to come through, but I don't see that happening. So USA will probably face Belgium. And then Brazil, Japan. Now that could be a tricky game for Brazil, but because of the slaloming runs that they have from their wingers, I generally see them causing a lot of problems to Japan and eventually come on the victorious side. So Japan to go out, Brazil to go through and probably play their game at the round of 16 in New York against whom? Erling Haaland's Norway. That'll be mad. Brazil, Norway. Even the round of 16 games are actually really very, very good to watch before we even head into the quarterfinals, which is wild. Mexico, Scotland, again, a host team against a team which has some interesting players, set of amazing fans, but because the World Cup is in Mexico and that game's in Mexico, and if they win that game, they go to play another knockout game in Mexico, it has to be the Mexicans. Let's go. Tacos for life. Right, Mexico, who will they take on? You better bloody believe it. England to probably surpass Senegal and to set themselves up against the host over there. And then we come to the bottom side of the draw. Now, this is where, again, it gets very, very tight to call. But Argentina, for me, will probably head into the round of 16. There's no doubts about it. I'm not ever going to hate Messi just because I'm a Ronaldo fan. And I think Argentina have a very, very good team as well. Dallas will see Turkey take on Egypt. That's going to be a good one. But I think I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Turkey here. And then they will probably take on Messi. Moving on quickly, Switzerland, Ecuador, Switzerland, Portugal, Ghana, Portugal, right? So let's now move on to picking the round of 16s. Now, Germany, France, that's going to be a tough one, guys. I don't know who you guys are picking. Let me just take a quick break here because I want to know what the comments are saying. Germany, France, let me know what you guys feel. I don't know how that game is going to go because Germany, they could probably have a tactical masterclass with France coming at them and then probably hitting them on the counter. But you know what? I'll be bold and pick France because I think France with Mbappe, Doué, Dembele, they have Saliba at the back. I mean, it's just a brilliant, well-oiled machine team, that France team. So France to go into Boston, play their quarterfinal against Netherlands. And it's now heading into that zone where we're probably going to see more European teams come to the fore. And I know those are two European teams in terms of Czech Republic and Netherlands, but Netherlands would probably have a little bit more star power to get into the quarterfinals. So France, Netherlands, the first quarterfinals, which will be mad. And then Croatia, Spain. Who are you guys backing here? In all likelihood, I think it'll be a damn good game. Might even go into extra time. But because Spain have people they can pull off the bench and make an absolute impact, I would say Spain. So Spain go into the quarterfinal and they'll probably play that at LA. In fact, they will play that at LA. Will they take on the might of Trump and the USA? I would say so. I would say that here is my first big upset in the knockout stages with USA getting past Belgium. And just for the US to enter the last 8 of the tournament would be an amazing step in the right direction for the country, for Pochettino, for some of the players over there, Pulisic, so on and so forth. So USA to go through for me. Brazil, Norway. there'll be so much on Haaland's shoulders to do if they have to topple the mighty Brazilians. And Brazil, like you boys have been saying in the comments as well, are very, very good. Ancelotti just knows how to win, and I see him do something or the other to get his boys across the line against Haaland's Norway. So they go into the quarterfinals. And who will they play? You better believe it. I love Mexico to have an upset against England, but it'll probably be Harry Kane, Bellingham, Saka, Rashford, Rice to meet the Brazilians in Miami on the 11th of July on Saturday. That'll be a mad Saturday, by the way. It'll be a mad Saturday. I'll tell you more about that in just a bit. Let's move on down because Argentina will probably come through against Turkey. And here we have it. Switzerland, if they can stop Portugal, great. But if they can't, the world will be watching. 11th July, Saturday, Kansas City Stadium, Argentina, Portugal. Messi versus Ronaldo, the last dance of these two GOATs. Messi did confirm that it's going to be his last World Cup. So did Ronaldo. Messi's already won the World Cup. Ronaldo wants to win it. Portugal probably are the best team in the competition, and Argentina are the defending champions. So there's so much to look forward to in that game. It's nuts. And Kansas City Stadium, by the way, I was telling you about all the off-field incidents in the World Cup going into the tournament. There's been apparently a shooting around England's training ground in Kansas where it's seen 9 injured. So the US is not a safe place as you guys think it is. I mean, there is, of course, a lot of gun use in the US, which has been well documented over the years. But what's happening with players and teams and their training pitches also, either the conditions are really bad in terms of the grass or the lines not being painted well, but apparently a lot of snakes, lots of crocodiles, which is not something that you'd associate with the US of A. They are literally head and shoulders above every country in the world. So they have to get it right. And I hope it's a chaotic World Cup, but it's going to be an organized chaotic World Cup by the looks of things, because fans need an amazing time. And already going into that World Cup, looking at the ticket prices, you're going to, of course, only bless fans who go to each place and travel and spend so much money on it, right? I'm tangenting, but going into that quarterfinals, and it's a sensational lineup. Argentina, Portugal, like I said, Brazil, England, another one, Spain, USA, and it could be Spain, Belgium, but I've gone for USA, and of course, France, Netherlands. So let's pick this in terms of France and Netherlands right now, in terms of the quarterfinal of the World Cup. Who am I going to have? France, indeed. Sorry, Virgil van Dijk. Sorry to all the other Dutch players that I kind of think of in this squad. Gakpo comes to mind. There's, of course, Nathan Ake from City. And they have actually a very good 11, but I just think France are going to be very, very solid in terms of going into that semi-final. And who are they going to face? I think it's going to be Spain. Sorry, the US dream ends in the quarterfinal, and it'll probably be France-Spain in the semi-final, the first semi-final, and that'll be where? In Dallas on the 14th of July on a Tuesday night. Can you do it on a cold Tuesday night in Stoke? No, sorry, Dallas. Right. Third quarterfinal is Brazil-England. Now, it's take your pick sort of thing. Many people would say Brazil because England have that thing in them that they collapse at the biggest moments. And we saw that against France when they went out in the last World Cup. I would say Casemiro and Cunha and Carlo Ancelotti to have the last laugh. I love England, and lots of my UK fan base will probably be like, we're ending the stream right now. We're not going to be taking part in this particular game anymore. But look, it is what it is. Brazil probably to go through for me. Now, the contentious one. And the title of this video suggests it's Ronaldo's World Cup. And I think it's not just because Ronaldo features, I'm saying Ronaldo blindly or Portugal blindly. I generally feel it's going to be a mad game. But you look at Portugal squad, you look at the Portugal starting 11, you look at the Portugal midfielders, it's brilliant. Many people might even ask me, saying, is Portugal better without Ronaldo? I would still say Ronaldo has a solid role to play in that team, because you need a focal point, you need a target man. He's been getting you goals. 25 out of 32 games he scored goals in the last 2 years for Portugal. He's at 973 goals. He's 27 goals away from 1,000 goals, and that's unprecedented. I don't think any other player is going to probably reach those heights, but he wants the World Cup. And I think many even fans of within Portugal believe that Ronaldo is better off not playing for them and coming on as a substitute than starting with him. And they're saying that purely because there are few wins that Portugal have had in recent times. And let me just check who it was. I think it was Luxembourg where they dismantled them 9-0. They beat, I think, Romania 9-1 as well. And Ronaldo didn't feature in both those games. And I understand why fans are saying they're much more fluid and Ronaldo kind of hinders play at times. But you look at what he's done as well in qualifying in certain games. Crunch moments, crunch goals. You need someone like him, an experienced guy like him, heading into his 6th World Cup. Only Messi and I think the Mexican goalkeeper Ochoa has the same amount of World Cups. But Ronaldo in Portugal will always be not just my soft corner, but someone that I'm literally hoping for them to win stuff. When they won the 2016 Euros, I was the happiest guy ever because I've been following Portugal, not because of Ronaldo, but that tournament, like I told you about, 2004 Euros, Ronaldo was not the Ronaldo that point in time. They had some amazing players like Deco and Maniche and Nuno Gomez and Ricardo, the goalkeeper, and Ricardo Carvalho and Costinha and just the works, right? So that's why I liked following Portugal at that point in time. Yes, they did have a couple of great victims in the past, knocking out England, knocking out Spain, so on and so forth, and World Cups gone by. But Portugal, I think, would have an amazing night that night, not just because of the whole Ronaldo-Messi debate, but I think they will come through and find the legs and the gas to oversee their arch rivals in Argentina. So Portugal, to me, Brazil in the second semi-final, and the first semi-final will be France versus Spain. Now, France-Spain, it's like picking between two fingers. What do you do? Because both those teams have, of course, amazing World Cup records, World Cup squads, great managers. And some would say France are pipping to become the first team to hit 3 World Cup finals back-to-back, which will be fantastic. So I think France, for me, in this one, even though you could probably see Lamine Yamal do something incredible. Yamal versus Mbappe, it's asking a child to pick between chocolate and vanilla. It's literally one of those things, right? Some would say chocolate, some would say vanilla. So I would say France, and they would enter the final. Who would they meet? They would probably meet Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. Now, Brazil, Portugal, they have a own history with themselves, right? But essentially, sorry about that. Essentially, I'm just trying to think how Portugal could beat Brazil, because midfield for midfield, probably evenly stacked, but Portugal just ahead because of the energy they infuse. Bruno Fernandes in the form of his life. And of course, that whole sentimentality reason for Ronaldo. I think the squad, how Argentina won it for Messi, I think Portugal will try to win it for Ronaldo. So Brazil, there'll be some great stories, great exits, tears of joy, tears in general, but Portugal to probably make the final. And then the final will be France-Portugal in New York on the 19th of July on Sunday. Now, it wasn't the final that The Simpsons predicted all those years ago. It predicted a Mexico-Portugal final. It's got one part of the puzzle right, and Portugal being there. But France-Portugal, can Mbappe then suffer a World Cup defeat? First to Messi and then Ronaldo. That'll be just terrible for the boy, but terrific for Ronaldo, because then he'll get that monkey off the back. He'll get the World Cup, he'll complete football, and everyone can live happily ever after. So that's how I feel the World Cup's going to progress. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bit, because I generally feel it's going to be chaotic, like I said, going into the World Cup. Man City, by the way, for what? I mean, Sanjay, how long have you been a Man City fan for? I'm guessing post-Pep. Because if you were, even in the Sven-Goran Eriksson era, or even in the Pellegrini era, I'd give it to you. But many people have just jumped on this Man City train, including a Dinesh Karthik, including a Virat Kohli, purely because of the football that they've transcended and play. I don't think there would be Man City fans anymore with Pep Guardiola gone. So I've been a United fan because I've just watched United growing up, right? So it is what it is. 2019, you've been a fan of theirs. So it's a short stay, but enjoy supporting the Blues. I don't know what you get out of it, but I guess everyone has their own tastes and preferences. Mithide saying, brother, communicate with the audience. These platforms is communicate. It's almost 30 minutes and no comments are taken. taking as many as I can. I'm also reading them. Plus, by the way, if you guys are not knowing, I'm doing multiple things while doing this bracket challenge as well as taking comments. So I can't see both screens together, but that's my take in terms of how things are going to unfold this World Cup, who my contenders were. I've spent a good amount of chunk for it. By the way, you're a Barca fan. I'm not going to be a Barca fan because they've denied us 2 Champions League titles. Why the hell would I support the Catalan Giants? Respect their club, but definitely not a fan of theirs. I kind of agree with you taking Portugal up, but their midfield can carry the defense too. They're unbelievable game controllers in that midfield. I mean, Vitinha and João Neves, they could also have an incredible, dreamy summer. Champions League done and dusted. I think they won the League as well. And the World Cup will just be amazing. Ronaldo's replacement are Ramos and Guedes. Good subs to bring on. We saw with this team in the last tournament as well. But I generally feel Ronaldo and Portugal might have it their way this World Cup, beg your pardon. Right, let's move on, because from one World Cup, I want to talk about the T20 World Cup in just a bit, but I want to spend maybe 2 to 3 minutes on the French Open final, and we head into Wimbledon this month. Remember, for all you guys who might not follow tennis, let me just give you context for the French Open, right? Because you normally associate this tournament to be Rafael Nadal's crown. Nadal doesn't play anymore. Don't need to tell you that. But the 2 main guys who are going to win this tournament didn't kind of go their way. Carlos Alcaraz, guy been taking the world by storm in the tennis circuit, injured, didn't feature. And of course, Jannik Sinner, who's, again, a fantastic tennis talent in the modern day game, just went out early in the tournament. So all eyes was then on Zverev, Sasha Zverev. And he's made 3 Grand Slam finals. He's not won one. And everyone was like, is his time done? But he got over the line against whom? Another Italian. It's not Sinner, but Caboli. Seemed like a rabbit in front of the headlights in the first set, and he just went down after that. But it can give you a little bit of hope if you're Italian in terms of not just having Sinner, but Caboli is there as your number 2, and let's see how it goes for them in the Davis Cup for Italy going ahead. But Zverev to become the first German to win a slam since Boris Becker since 1996, and you've seen some great German talents over the years, whether it's men's or women's. Zverev now has really got that, and let's see if he can actually defend it next year or even do something crazy in the Wimbledon. But for him to kind of have that Grand Slam done and dusted, the first of which is incredible. By the way, I do follow a lot about tennis news. Listen to the Andy Roddick podcast, and that's a fantastic podcast to just give it a listen to if you guys don't watch the sport, or maybe just watch the highlights and do a little bit of reading, but you want a proper podcast and a breakdown and analysis. Andy Roddick and his tennis podcast is phenomenal. I follow that all the time. I also just want to quickly say that the Wimbledon will start. The Queens, I think the preceding tournament has already started, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward. And let's see what happens in men's tennis, guys, because I think when I started watching it all those years ago, there were so many good names to look out for, not just the main 4, but even outside of it, you have people like Leighton Hewitt, Bagdatis, Marat Safin, Andy Roddick, like I said. There was Carlos Moya. These names go on. Names just go on. So I feel, is there going to be any sort of revival in the tennis game? There has to be more competition to Alcaraz and Sinner, because both those, of course, it was an anomaly that they missed out this time around. But it's not going to be the case, because you look at the last 2-3 years, it's been Sinner Alcaraz, and it's becoming just a duopoly. So I'm hoping that Zverev has a little bit more confidence going into this right now. Stop following tennis after Rafa's retirement. Go watch Rafa's documentary on Netflix. Fantastic watch. It's one of those key sporting documentaries that you just love to tuck into, especially if you're a lover of tennis, especially if you're a lover of Rafael Nadal. Which player comes to your mind when you think of World Cup football? Asking Mithilesh. Generally, it's a good question. Beckham, maybe, and Ronaldo, not Cristiano, the Argentine Brazilian Ronaldo for me. Because again, when you ask me these kind of questions, straight away, childhood goes back. With that regard, streaming is all about communication, brother, and it is. I am taking as many things as possible, and I know you guys are also backing me up in the comments saying how many things can you do, but it is what it is, man. And I'm generally trying to, of course, pander to various sports fans, not just the cricket lovers, but the football ones and some of the tennis ones, maybe even the F1 ones. And I know there's a definite overlap between all those four sects of sports fan bases. Right. Yamin Lamal is basically another shout saying Sanjay in the chat, and Simeone. When I mentioned Beckham, I think Simeone comes out instantly. Cricket or football or tennis? Oh, it's a tough one. Football for me is number one, and then cricket. But cricket's been my bread and butter and my job for the last 10 years, 12 years. So it's so hard to choose. It's almost like choosing between your mother and your wife, almost. It's literally like that. It's literally your mother and your wife, almost, if I have to give you guys an analogy that way. Play 38-0 is quite good game. Never heard of this. Explain, my friend. Avni's thoughts of the 3-5-2 formation for Portugal. I mean, you understand why they want to get Nuno Mendes slightly ahead of that left flank, because he's just been brilliant for PSG. And then you look at what they can offer on the right as well, because I think there'll be lots of floaters. And I say floaters, someone like Bernardo Silva off the right can probably track back as well. Rafael Leao has just acres to run into with Bruno playing that pass in behind. So the 3-5-2 suits them. I'm not really comfortable with the three centre-backs in Inacio and Ruben Diaz and whoever they play in that left channel. I generally feel it's better off just playing a 4-2-3-1 with Bruno ahead of João Neves and Vitinha, and of course Leao, and you have maybe a Bernardo Silva, maybe you probably play someone else at Trincao, whoever they feel. But I think Ronaldo will start up front as well. Vega is also decent. Go on to cricket? Yes, I will. Thanks for that reminder. We will go on to cricket right now because football and tennis is done. And before we get into the Women's World Cup, where I want to ask you guys what you feel in terms of your predictions. Are you guys actually going to watch anything? Because it is in the UK. There are going to be some fantastic stadiums. There's always going to be drama. And India are World Cup champions in the ODI regard. Now, whether they do the double and have both trophies, that'll be brilliant, because this is the one World Cup Australia actually are not looking like the same old Australia that they've looked for 40, 50 years of playing the sport, right? So going into this World Cup, there's so many things I want to talk about. But before we get into the Women's World Cup, quickly smash a like and a subscribe to this channel. Tell a friend. I'm going to be here with you guys every weekday as much as I can be, 10 p.m. and talk about various things. Sometimes I might just be bringing on a random colleague that I worked on in the past. So I might bring on a cricketer who's a friend of mine who's been a guest in my previous platforms in the past. Or it could be a watch-along for a World Cup game. So just watch the space. Hegde Every Day will offer a lot of things going forward, and very different to what I do on Instagram, because if you guys have just noticed, I'm very close to 80K subscribers. Go hit subscribe there if you guys haven't already. But right here, right now, it is, of course, time to talk about cricket, because all you guys have been watching random things going on after the IPL. I don't know what you guys have watched so far, because what is that? Maharashtra Premier League is on. The Mumbai T20 competition, rather, beg your pardon. And I think Sky was featuring in it. I saw Patidar feature in the MPL. I think Jitesh do some news for Vidarbha Premier League. So it's all going off that way. But more for me is the international cricket, because I did see England, New Zealand, not the test match as much as I wanted to. I saw that final couple of sessions where they were 96 for 6, Phillips and Conway trying to consolidate and try to pull out a rabbit out of the hat in Lords, which, by the way, was a diabolical pitch. England getting just the job done, and more importantly, getting the WTC points secured. Because like I spoke about on a Friday show, I generally felt that England need to win this series 3-0. As simple as that. Because if they need to make their first ever WTC final, they need the points right now. As much as all the hue and cry has been about baseball in the last 2-3 years. Right, so England, New Zealand, let's see what happens in the second test going forward. But more international cricket. West Indies, Sri Lanka is happening. I told you guys about that on Friday in terms of the ODI scheme of things and what the scenarios could play out, because the 2027 ODI World Cup, these two still need to qualify technically and be in that top 8 before the 2027 March 31st cutoff date. There is also Bangladesh, Australia, which I just came across, starting tomorrow. They haven't played an ODI series there for 15 years or something like that, but it'll be interesting to see how Josh Inglis takes the captaincy, because he's going to be the captain there in that white ball ODI series. I think Mitch Marsh comes back for the T20 set of things. But Bangladesh, Australia, if you guys are going to watch that, let me know in the next show if you guys had any opinions of that. Lots more people, of course, commenting. What are your views on the Sky replacement by Shreyas? I mean, it's just been a really sad time for Sky. You think about what's probably coming out of the Mumbai Indians dressing room right now is that he could be let go of, right? And that's the Indian World Cup winning captain. This is a guy who was dominating T20 cricket for 3-4 years, right? So I don't know how badly it's fallen off for Sky. I would have still had him in the squad. Shreyas Iyer is captain. Now, here's a guy who's blocked me on Instagram. So obviously, I'm not going to say any more crazier things for him to get pissed off more, but I think he's definitely deserved it. Many people wanted Patidar, many people wanted Bhuvi, many people wanted Padikkal, many people even wanted Suyash. But keeping the RCB biases aside, I think Patidar definitely merited a shout. Krunal merited a shout. None of those guys feature. So let's see how this team goes along in England. I mean, 1st of July, I think the games start. I think the games have also been pushed back slightly earlier so the Indian crowd could see it. It was 11 p.m. first ball for us, but it's now 10 p.m. And that was confirmed on ESPN Cricket for not too long ago. But Shreyas Iyer, new era for Indian cricket in terms of the T20 scheme of things, because the next T20 World Cup is about, 24 months away? So essentially, there's a lot of time for Shreyas Iyer to have plans laid out with a guy who's worked in the past in Gautam Gambhir, KKR. They, of course, won that 2024 IPL. So I think it's the good move, but also worrying if you're an Indian fan, because here we are just winning a World Cup not too long ago with Sky being in charge, but he's been ousted, not just as captain, but completely from the squad altogether. So that's my take on it. But Vaibhav Sooryavanshi to feature in his first proper store of the Indian men's senior team and in England in those kind of smallish grounds. I think the first game is going to be in, Durham. And Vaibhav Sooryavanshi is going to be smoking sixes to all parts of that crowd, let alone the entire UK. Right. More questions to take. Yes, Colombia defense is solid. They have only conceded 5 goals in South American World Cup qualification. And they find themselves in Portugal's group, right? So let's see if they can actually pose a stiff resistance to that Portugal sort of attack, because that'll be a great litmus test if they actually withstand the group and then go forward. So let's see if they can actually continue that immaculate defense, like you pointed out, Mithilesh. Such a snowflake. Imagine blocking people on Instagram. Imagine that, lad. And Sudhir saying, hi, bro, love from Andhra. Good to see you. Always welcome anyone from any part of the world. Heard Shreyas had blocked Avnish. He did. And it's still not unblocked, but cricketers have their own choices and reasons at times, and it is what it is. So that is basically the world of cricket in terms of the news. But the main bit I want to just talk about in the last 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll do a proper World Cup preview as well. I plan to get on my old friend Akshay Kumaraswamy for a whole chat about the Women's World Cup a day prior to the World Cup. And the World Cup starts on the 12th of June, so I'll probably get him on the 11th of June. And we'll just talk all things Women's World Cup cricket. Right, but really quickly, because I promised you all that my Women's World Cup predictions at least can be gotten out of the way right now. I see an India-South Africa T20 World Cup final. Let's make no mistake about it. India have some amazing players. You're talking about Smriti, Harman, Jemmy, but also recently, Yastika Bhatia's form has been brilliant. Bharti Fulmali in this game that they played against West Indies tonight scored like 50 in a blink of an eye. So they have more answers and questions. I like Sriyanka Patil as an off spinner, as a late lower down batter, obviously an RCB bias over there. So I think India have a fantastic sort of squad to get the job done. They have, of course, the ODI World Cup, which they'll take enormous confidence going into this tournament about, because you look at that tournament and what they did, not just in the final or the semi-final, but throughout, just dismantling teams and saying, you know what, we can compete with Australia and beat them. We can compete with England and beat them. And we can compete with South Africa and beat them. And that's why I feel India will probably make the final. South Africa have just been the unluckiest team. And we've said it for the men's team for the longest time, but it's happening with their women's team, because their women's team, to give you context, have made the last 3 finals of white ball tournaments. Now, Laura Wolfwart, and you know her name because she's a household WPL name, will captain this side. And I feel they have some great women's cricketers in that starting 11, let alone squad. So can they have that day? Again, T20 is such a fickle format. It could go up and down in the tournament for even the big teams, but I think South Africa and India will probably make the final. Now, why don't I have Australia in that particular top two? New captain, surprising choice as well. I love her a bit because she did win the WPL for RCB and she's not part of the RCB team anymore. Talking about Sophie Molyneux. And there's so many other choices that you could probably see in that dressing room. Be like, you can throw her the captaincy, but Sophie Molyneux, she has to now lead. And she has big shoes to fill because Elisa Healy won't be there. She has pretty much the makings of the same squad. I do like the left arm option of Lucy Hamilton. I think she will definitely cause Smriti Mandhana problems if India-Australia face off against each other. Similarly, I think Lauren Bell will cause Smriti Mandhana a lot of problems. But coming back to Australia, and I think they will make the semi-final. And I think the semi-finals will again be set in stone. And I don't want to be it that way, but I think it'll be India, South Africa as a final. But the semi-finals will probably be India, South Africa, or the top four will be India, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. Now, why don't I have England? Because they are the hosts of the tournament. I don't have England because I generally feel New Zealand, like they do in the men's cricket, punch above their weight. And let's face it, guys, New Zealand have won the last T20 World Cup from the women's perspective. So they are defending champions going into this. And can they have another couple of great moments for their senior statesmen? Time will tell. But India, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand for me. And then from there, take your pick. Now, no offense to Bangladesh or Pakistan or West Indies or Sri Lanka, who have a couple of X factors, by the way. Or for that matter, someone like Netherlands, who have one or two amazing talents. And albeit it's their first World Cup, they could have a real say in the big time in the UK this time around. So that's my real quick take in terms of the Women's World Cup and how I see things panning out. And like I said, World Cup month, Wimbledon month, sport ahead. And it's a summer of sport that we're all going to satiate going ahead. Hope you guys have had fun in this podcast number 3 and Heck Day Every Day. It's kind of swimmingly gone faster than I presumed it to be. Maybe because of that exercise we did at the top of the show with predicting all the FIFA group stages, quarterfinals, and so much so that we got to the winner of the tournament as well, which is Portugal from my side. If you guys are just joining me, please smash a like and hit subscribe if you guys are new. Tell a friend about Heck Day Every Day, not just on Instagram, but on YouTube as well, because like I said, there's so much of sport, whether it's cricket, football, tennis, or F1, I'll be here to cover it all. I'm sorry if you guys haven't taken any of your questions. I've tried to take as many as I can. And until the next time, it's a goodbye from me, Avnish Hegde. Lots to come. And check out another reel I'm going to be dropping right now on Instagram with regards to rugby, which will blow your mind altogether. Cheers.